A woman sits in a meeting she cannot follow. Her manager is talking, numbers moving on a screen, and she nods at all the right moments. But part of her mind is somewhere else, running the same loop it has run since she woke up. $300 due Friday. She is not lazy. She is not distracted by her phone. She is doing math that no one in the room can see. And it is quietly eating the part of her brain she needs to do her job. This is the scarcity tax. The hidden cost of not having enough, paid not in money, but in mental bandwidth. And once you understand it, you'll notice it draining you in moments that have nothing to do with being poor. The deadline week, the empty fridge, the month everything comes due at once. Scarcity doesn't just shrink your bank account, it shrinks the mind that's trying to manage it. In 2013, two researchers took a question most people answer with a shrug and decided to measure it instead. Sendhil Mullainathan, an economist at Harvard. Eldar Shafir, a psychologist at Princeton. The question was uncomfortable. Why do people who are short on money so often make the exact choices that keep them short on money? Borrowing at punishing rates, missing appointments, forgetting the form that would have helped them. The easy answer was character, that the poor were simply less careful, less disciplined, somehow less capable. Mullainathan and Shafir suspected the easy answer was backwards. What if it wasn't that less capable people became poor, but that being poor made capable people think as though they were less capable? They didn't want to argue about it. They wanted to put it on a test. They started in a shopping mall in New Jersey. They stopped ordinary people and gave them a scenario. Imagine your car needs repairs. For some, the repair cost $150, an annoyance. For others, $1,500, a small disaster. Then, before anyone had solved anything, they gave everyone the same set of intelligence tests, pattern puzzles, the kind used to measure raw reasoning. For the wealthier shoppers, the price tag made no difference. $150 or $1,500, they scored the same. But for the poorer shoppers, the expensive repair was devastating. Simply holding a $1,500 problem in mind caused their scores to collapse. The drop was equivalent to losing 13 IQ points, roughly the difference a full night without sleep makes. The same person, minutes apart. Nothing had changed but the size of the money worry they were carrying. A mall could be a fluke. Maybe stressed people just test badly. So they went to the sugarcane fields of Tamil Nadu in southern India. Sugarcane farmers are paid once a year at harvest. For a few months after, they are comparatively rich. In the long stretch before, they are broke, pawning belongings, borrowing just to eat. So the researchers tested the same farmers twice. Once before harvest, poor. Once after, flush. Same men, same fields, same crops. Before harvest, they performed markedly worse on the very same tests. Fewer puzzles solved, more errors, slower thinking. After harvest, their minds came back. Poverty hadn't made them permanently dull. It had borrowed their attention, then returned it the moment the money arrived. To see why, Mullainathan, Shafir, and a colleague named Anuj Shah built tiny artificial economies in the lab. Volunteers played simple games, answering trivia, taking aim at targets, but on a budget. Some players were made rich, handed plenty of time or guesses. Others were made poor, given very few. And the poor players did something revealing. They focused harder. On each single question, they concentrated more intensely than the rich players ever did. Scarcity in the short term made them sharper. But that focus came with a bill. To survive the round, they began borrowing against future turns, spending tomorrow's resources to get through today. They tunneled onto the problem right in front of them, and the borrowing dug them deeper. The same trap people fall into with payday loans, recreated out of nothing but a shortage of points. Mullainathan and Shafir had a name for what scarcity quietly steals: bandwidth, the mind's capacity to reason, to plan, to resist an impulse, to hold a second thought alongside the first. Scarcity, they found, doesn't make you stupid, it loads you. Picture a computer running one enormous program in the background. Everything else still works, just slower, glitchier, more likely to freeze. A mind preoccupied with Friday's bill has less left over for the meeting, for the child's question, for the plan that stretches past this week. This is the scarcity tax. It is charged silently every hour to anyone living too close to the edge. And the less you have, the more of your mind it quietly takes. We like to tell a story about money and character. The careful get ahead, the careless fall behind. So when someone poor makes a mistake, misses a payment, takes a bad loan, forgets a deadline, we read it as proof of who they are. The research says the arrow points the other way. It isn't that flawed minds create scarcity, it's that scarcity manufactures the appearance of flawed minds. As Mullainathan and Shafir put it, the poor are not just short on money, they are short on bandwidth. And bandwidth is not a character trait. It's a resource like daylight or sleep that scarcity drains without asking. Put anyone under enough financial pressure, you, a CEO, a genius, and their thinking degrades in precisely the same way. What looks like a flaw in the person is really a tax on the mind, and you have felt it, even if you've never been poor. The week money was tight, and you snapped at someone you love. The night a bill landed, and you read the same paragraph 4 times without taking in a word. The strange way that being short on cash makes you worse at everything else. Worse at work, worse at patience, worse at the very planning that might pull you out. You weren't weak that week, you were taxed. Some part of your mind was busy carrying a number, and there was simply less of you left for the rest of your life. Scarcity doesn't only take your money, it takes the mind you would have used to escape it. That is its cruelest move. It quietly removes the very capacity you'd need to climb out, and then lets the world call the result a failure of character. So the next time you watch someone struggling to think clearly under the weight of not enough, remember what the studies showed. They are not less of a person. They are running the same mind you have, with most of it already spoken for.